Hey everybody, welcome to Sandra's Art Studio. Today you're watching a project that you could do yourself easily, and you don't have to have the skills because you can just make it a very personal touch. You don't have to paint in this particular style. It could be your unique style. In this case, this is a commission project. So the owner here, my client, asked me to match the style that is on those honeycomb tiles that have already some palm fronds. So here I am matching the style onto the subway tiles. And the first thing I did was etch the tiles with a chemical called EC Etch. And I can put that on the description. And once I had those etched, now I can go ahead and apply an adhesive promoter, and I can also put that on the description. Everything I am talking about, I can actually put it on the description. So I spray it with the adhesive promoter, and now here I go with acrylic paints. And I'm actually using the outdoor acrylic paints because they have a little bit of a better quality. They last longer. And that's what I'm looking for here. I did tell the owner of these tiles that, this is not bulletproof, but it will last quite a bit. And once I am finished, I will go ahead and give it a clear coat with this product. Clear diamond finish, which it is a high performance, just like it says on the label, and it's easy to clean. So as long as you're not using the scuffing side of the pad, of a cleaning pad, and you just use the soft spongy part of the pad, then it should last quite a bit. So here I'm also matching the colors that, as much as I can, that I see on the smaller tiles. And for this, I do find that I have to layer the paints, which I totally expected to do that. And one of the things you want to try to avoid is overlapping. Like you see how I just did that palm frond, and I had the monstera leaf that is looking like it's underneath it. That I didn't complete, the whole monstera leaf. I left the open space for the other palm frond, the one that I'm painting right there on the video. Because if you start overlapping the palm leaves and fronds and stuff like that, then you're always going to see, or you're going to struggle. You're going to have to use more paints because the edges of the artwork that is underneath is always going to show. I hope that was clear. So always leave that space open instead of overlapping your artwork. And if you are the kind of person that needs some kind of medium to move your paint around for, let's say, grading the intensity or something, the materials that I'm using here, adhesive promoter and the clear coat, the finishing clear coat, all of that works very well with, just about anything I've thrown on it. I haven't had any issues with the clear coat doing something weird or not adhering to the paints because, let's say, I have a medium that helps me move the paint around. And we are still talking about water-based acrylic paints. If you use oils, that's a total different story. We are not even talking about oils in this project. It's all water-based acrylic paints. And I used the outdoor type because I feel like it has a little bit more oomph, the quality of it, and they're very reasonable. So, have a lot of fun with this project. My client was very impressed with it. He liked it. It was unique. He got a lot of compliments from people that came and visited his house, and I'm super happy to hear all of these things. Now back to the painting. You notice how that monstera that I'm working on right now, I actually didn't leave the holes open, and I painted right over that. And let me tell you, if you don't leave the open spaces, trying to match the white is it's not the same. It never comes out the same. But sometimes that's the only choice you have. And as long as let's say I have to paint those holes white eventually, because it's surrounded by the green of the leaf, then it's not so noticeable, right? So I ended up having to do that. You'll see as we go through the video. Anyway, In this case here, I'm painting the palm fronds over the monstera, and the texture, like what I was talking about before, you know, if you end up painting one item on top of another, you'll see the texture. It will be like super obvious. And because there's overlapping of paints, the edges start to show. And what I end up doing with that little piece is sanding it down and redoing it, because I was not happy with how it looked. And that's what it boils down to, right? If it doesn't look pleasing, then it's not pleasing. And for me, it's important to have each item pop without being too cartoony. So the palm frond on top of the monstera was not showing very well, and that's why I ended up doing that little section all over again. So to me, having to redo a section when it comes to painting is not a big deal. I have a long history with doing tattoos, and with tattoos, of course, you cannot redo everything. You have to be very calculated. So once you do tattoos and you come back and you start doing painting on objects, you realize it's easy to sand it down and redo. It's not a big deal. It's only paint. Nothing gets ruined. It's only paint. So I haven't shown you the part where I sanded it down yet, but it's coming, because I'm doing other palm fronds and tidying up whatever I have to do around this area that I'm not really happy with. And I'm kind of like digesting it as I'm going, and thinking, do I absolutely have to sand down that section, as you're going to see in a little bit. And I finally decided, yeah, your paint is always going to represent you, and people are going to talk about your project, about your workmanship when you're not around. So a little bit more time, oh, what the heck, just do the best you can, and it will come back to you in a good way. Even as I am doing the editing for this video, I'm looking at that little spot and I'm saying, yeah, it needs to be redone. So here I go with the little sandpaper and soapy water, and I'm using a grid of, I believe it was like 200. So the lower the number, the harsher it is. So I start with a 200, and then at the end, I use like a 1000 or 1200, which is a smoother grid. And the reason why is because you don't want to leave those scratch marks once you're done sanding that section. And since I was using soapy water, then at the end, I had to clean it with just water, just to let you know, and then let it dry a little bit. So I work on other aspects of this whole project. Like right here, I'm doing the base of the monstera, and once I get that done, I jump on to finishing that little fixing area that I have to do. And that way I finish kind of like in a timely fashion, right? Because if you, like with acrylics, you don't have to wait too long for paint to dry. It dries kind of fast, but you do have to wait, a couple minutes or so if you don't let it dry all the way and you go at it again with paint. Then what you're doing is, it's just going to turn into a mess, because you start to remove paint and some of it comes off like in chunks and all that stuff. So I like, when I'm doing projects like this, I like moving it, where I do the base on one and then I move to another area where it's already dry and I'm ready to put final touches into it, and then I move back into the area that I was, and I, just like that, I'm kind of like peppered all over the place. Not that I like to be peppered, because I always relate that to being a little scattered. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that each section is done in a timely fashion. I'm trying to be efficient. And I hope that you guys are finding value on some of these tips. I hope you're learning something. And if you are, please give me a like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell, because you know how we advance in YouTube world. And of course, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I try to be responsive as much as I can, as quick as I can. And here I'm doing just the final touches. And I just want to say before it's all done, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this, just let me know. Or if you have another project that you think I can handle, let me know. It might make a really good video. All right, now this is the final project. You see how it looks? It's a backsplash to his stove area, his cooking area. And I'm like super happy about how it turned out. What do you guys think? All right, thank you for watching. I hope I see you guys on the next one. Bye.